Okay, so this is my daughter's safety bed, and amazingly, because she's about 5'3", she can actually climb out the top.
If you're listening to this rather than watching, imagine a cot for a grown-up.
I can't actually close these at the moment because her anxiety would escalate and she would smash her head against the bars and hurt herself.
In which the sidebars are security fence height. It's a bed, but probably not as you've ever seen one.
She can escape, which is phenomenal sort of physics. I don't know how she does that. All our windows are safety glass and they're double barricaded. And I have a routine every morning where I double check that, because she could fling herself out the window.
This is life. This is the Bush family life, raising Regan.
Regan is considered the top few % of New Zealand high and complex needs. She's severely autistic, which means that she's 10 and a half, but has a mind of a toddler. She's zesty and wonderful, but she has no sense of danger, and she discovers or understands the world through putting things in her mouth. Or sampling it, as most toddlers do. She also has pica, which is the biggest problem that we have. She might eat styrofoam. She would eat, if you had Panadol or something, she'd call it lollies and put it in her mouth. Your earrings, change, cough lozenges, anything can become kind of like a death weapon. Some of the troubles that we've had have been quite surprising. Recently, she put lots of little bits of a napkin down her throat, and because, you have moisture in her throat, it wadded up and she was choking. So you just have to constantly be vigilant and constantly have her at arm's length.
In other words, Regan requires constant protection from herself, and their family home has been extensively modified to make it safe for a strong 10-year-old girl who has no sense of danger.
And then the whole kitchen is barricaded, because if Regan sees anything cooking, she wants to reach in and grab it, or she can turn on the oven or the kettle. So this again is prison glass, and she can now open these gates to get into the kitchen.
Devora is standing at a glass and metal bar security wall 1.8 metres high. Beyond it is their family kitchen. It almost defies initial comprehension.
It is. It's prison glass. And, her twin sister can't fetch herself a glass of water. I can let her into the kitchen and her sister and I can cook together. But, it limits the other children's independence. Hey.
But this is life, and this is a close and loving family determined to make the highly unusual work for Regan. She could be in permanent state care, but no one wants that.
She came into this world as she is. She didn't relinquish her human rights because she was born disabled. She's part of our family, and it's our job as her parents, as all parents, to give your children the best life that you can. It's just a kind of different life, and how we navigate that for her is different. But she and our other two children, they came into the world, and they have the right to be safe and loved and protected and happy and joyous. And she has the right to do that with her family. If she were in care, it would be about $250,000 on the taxpayer's buck a year to house her.
But she's not. Regan is at home, and home works, or did work, because now the family have to move out. This highly modified, essentially unique family residence is also a leaky home.
We have to leave our home for 4 months or so when it's being reclad. It's hard enough to keep our daughter Regan, alive and safe in our normal house with all the modifications, but certainly while it's a building site, it would be impossible. And as most leaky homes have, they've discovered some, toxic mold in the walls. That's safe for us now while the jib is all in place. But whilst that gets, all repaired, they'll have to certainly follow some procedures. So for 4 months, we have to find another place to live, and we'll have to get it modified in all the ways that we do to keep Regan safe.
And where can you possibly go to that replicates that kind of protection for her?
I don't know that anywhere can, and Ree doesn't transition easily. So, the anxiety level of her not being able to be around her things or in the only home that she can remember could really, inhibit, her calmness or her ability to settle, and she could self-harm as she does when she's anxious or try to harm others. It's a huge issue.
Huge and costly. The family, who only bought the home after building reports, moisture testing, council reports, must now repair it, find somewhere else to live, modify that temporary accommodation, keep Regan safe, and bear much of the costs of that themselves. What the Bushes are dealing with isn't really covered by anyone.
We've spoken to different ministers through our local MP, and typically we've had very polite letters saying, sorry, we can't help you. We as a family, as many do, seem to fall through the cracks. When I found out we had to get out of the house, I tried to get maybe a Housing New Zealand house for 4 months, and there wasn't a show of that. We were just looking at different options because we don't have a lot of options, Yeah, it's a huge hurdle. We're no better or worse than all the other families in this country who are suffering leaky homes. We're in extreme face of it because we have our beautiful girl, and that gives some limits to what our options are. But so we're kind of the extreme face of how leaky home is impacting on thousands of people here.
It is impacting on thousands of people, and as a journalist I've told that story many, many times, but I've never met somebody less well able to go somewhere else. And that means that the impact on you is really disproportionate, isn't it? Because you need somewhere where Ree will be safe. And other than your home, that place almost appears not to exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it does exist. And, I've had some comments from people, well, why not put Ree in care while you do the house and you guys could find a place? But, Regan won't even sleep if she can't see that I'm next to her, or she does not settle well. Her anxiety becomes hugely escalated. Settling her with someone new can take a year. So you cannot scaffold that kind of change into 4 months. Plus, I would never relinquish my daughter. We're doing all of this to keep our family intact, and that's our right. We are a family, and we are overcoming or trying to overcome enormous hurdles to keep intact. And we shouldn't be having this amount of drama just to remain as we are.
And so a family that was somehow coping now finds themselves unable to cope. Where do they go with Regan? How do they make it safe for her? How do they pay for it? The life they'd somehow made work has been broken by their leaky home. The family that has given everything up to care for Regan now finds they may not even be able to do that. External care is simply not an option for them. But what is?
She needs 24-hour care, so that would be 3 workers doing 8-hour shifts each at minimum wage, works out to about $160,000, and then her bed and, her room in a residential environment, her food, it could be even more than that. And with her young age and her pica, she'd be, and being a little girl, she'd be really vulnerable. And if you don't check on her every 3 minutes, my girl can die in the safest of environments. So if you don't love her with your soul, I don't know that people would be as, dedicated or diligent about creating that type of care and protection that she is entitled to.
When did you and your husband last go to the movies or celebrate a wedding anniversary at a restaurant or something just nice and ordinary?
I do not know. I really don't know. Multiple years, Yeah. A long time ago, John.